Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Dugout Daily. I'm Charlie, and I'm joined by Bernard. How are you, mate?
I'm fine, Charlie. Still enjoying the glow from last night.
Yeah, it seems like it's been a couple of minutes since we talked about the Everton game. Here we are now about PSG, and we'll get straight into it. City 2, PSG 1. What was your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I think we talked off air. You were a bit disappointed with PSG, but I thought City was just excellent, and obviously PSG are an excellent team. I think City are an excellent team, and fortunately on the day, we sort of certain players turned up last night who perhaps haven't been quite turning up recently. So yeah, I think overall we thoroughly deserved it. Overall, I think we are a better team than PSG, and all last night did was confirm that.
Yeah. We'll start with City team news. So it was a 4-3-3 at the start of the game. Edison was in goal. A back four of Walker, Diaz, Stones, and Cancelo. Rodri was in the holding midfield role with Gundogan and Zinchenko, which was a bit of a surprise, just ahead of him. Mahrez was off the right, Sterling was off the left, and Bernardo was up top. What were your initial thoughts on the team?
Oh, Pep keeps us guessing, mate, didn't he? That mid. I mean, obviously against Everton, I was a bit weird about the front three, and last night I was again a bit weird about the front three, and I was also a bit weird about the middle three. So I mean, obviously he took it one step further, but hey, that's why he's paid the big money, mate, because he knows what he's doing. And most people were thinking that Zinchenko was going to play more defensively and Cancelo was going to play further up. That's what I was reading on social media while I was waiting, before the game. So it was interesting. Yeah, say another one from left field, and perhaps having these injuries and stuff is forcing his hand a bit. I think he admitted he didn't have much time to work on this team. He didn't have a lot of time. Obviously, Foden had reported hurt late on, didn't he? I think he trained, and then obviously it was a little bit. Although I mean, you and me, I think, were saying after that Everton game, he looked a little bit as though he might struggle a bit. He was struggling a bit, but yeah. So even he admitted that. But hey, it worked. It's worked, didn't it? Last night, whatever he did, whatever he told the guys. Who are we to sort of? We raise our eyebrows now, but we expect things to work out, don't we?
Yeah. And then the PSG team looked like this. It was also a 4-3-3. Keylor Navas was in goal. I was quite happy it weren't Donnarumma in goal because he seems a very good keeper to me. A back four of Hakimi, Marquinhos, Kimpembe and Nuno Mendes. I think Hakimi played well for them. He had a good block midway through the first half as well. In the midfield was Paredes, Idrissa Gueye, and Herrera, the former United player, and the front three of Lionel Messi, Mbappe, and Neymar. What was your thoughts on the PSG team when you saw that?
Well, I'm like you. I was surprised at the keeper. I think he got sent off at the weekend. The keeper they had in last night. I think he got sent off in the last league game, and I was very surprised. But unless there's a problem with Donnarumma, I'm not too sure if there is. But yeah, I thought it was more or less. I thought defensively, certainly for the first 45 minutes, I thought they defended like we did. They were putting bodies on the line, getting men in the box, blocking things. They were excellent. But the trouble is with that, and the same for us when we're defending. Sometimes those blocks go against you and deflect to the opposition, and that's just what happens because obviously you've got to block something. You don't know where it's going to go, do you? Let's be honest about it. And I think PSG looked excellent in the first half, but obviously it fell flat a little bit in the second half. But it was more or less what I thought, apart from the keeper.
Yeah. We'll look at the stats then. 54% possession to PSG's 46%, 16 shots to 7, 6 shots on target to 2, 4 shots off target to 3, 6 block shots to 2, 7 corners to none, 3 offsides to 1, 13 fouls to 5, 3 yellow cards for City, 2 big chances each, 2 big chances each, sorry. PSG with 1 big chance missed, 11 shots inside the box compared to PSG's 4, 5 shots from outside the box compared to PSG's 3. Edison had 1 save to make, Keylor Navas had 3, 595 passes to 519, 93% accurate passes to 90%, 75% long balls were accurate to 62%, 27% crosses were accurate compared to PSG's none. 41% dribbles were completed compared to PSG's 73%. 87 times City lost a possession, 74 for PSG. 26 duels 1 to 42, 4 aerial duels 1 to 3, 10 tackles to 18, 7 interceptions to 6, and 0 clearances to 14. Do you think those stats represent the game?
Yeah, I think they do. I think what when I was looking at my thing. I mean, the thing that stood out to me was the pass completion, 93% and 90%. It's not very often you get both teams, and we're not talking two teams who were just playing it around the back here. We're talking two teams that when they had the opportunity to go for it, they went for it. So that just shows the excellence of City and PSG. I'm going to give all credit to PSG as well, because you don't often get 93% pass completion, 90% pass completion for the two teams, and that's what stood out to me. But I think that was a fair reflection, as I said, of the possession City had. The fact, obviously, they had more clearances and stuff like that than we had. It all falls in line, really. I mean, if you didn't know the score, you would say it'd be a tight game, and perhaps City would have edged it, and that's what happened.
Yeah. Next up then is the attack momentum graph. It's more in favour of us, to be fair. There's of course periods where PSG looked on top, especially at the start of the second half when they got their goal. But I'd say off that graph, it was mostly us that were doing the attacking, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I mean, certainly the start of the game, we looked imperious at the start, and I think if you're gonna play a team like PSG, you're gonna have to give up 5 or 10 minutes, at times to their control, because that's what they're like. They're excellent, certainly going forward. And I think that sort of proves it there, doesn't it? I mean, obviously, it was about halfway through the first half before they started coming into it a little bit, and we dominated the first half as we did, as we did with them. I think over at their place, I think they went in 1-0 up though, didn't they, at their place? But we had that sort of similar stat and similar possession and domination. But obviously, the second half was a bit more even. But obviously, overall, yeah, I mean, it shows that City were certainly more committed.
Yeah. Next up, then we'll start talking about the players. It'll start with Edison in goal. 90 minutes played, only 1 save. 1 save from inside the box, 16 touches, 92% accurate passes. 3 out of 4 long balls were accurate. Thoughts on Edison's performance last night?
Yeah, he's getting a bit of stick for the goal. I've sort of said that obviously when it's a goal, like when you have to sort of move from right to left, which he had to do as that ball came across and was deflected, don't forget as well. It took a deflection, so the flight of the ball would have been different. I mean, when you've got to get yourself ready at the post like that, I mean, all the striker, that was it Mbappe? Was it Mbappe? Yeah, Mbappe. Yeah. All he has to do is hit the target. And obviously, you might have said yes. You might have said yes. He did deliberately put it through his legs. He should have closed his legs. But if he had closed his legs, he might have put it somewhere else. You just don't know. And as a keeper, you can't really win in that sort. You try and make yourself big. And is there a way of keeping your legs crossed while you're making yourself big? There probably is. I don't know, but I'm not going to have a downer on him. He didn't have much else to do. I think that 1 save was where he sort of just to his chest, he dived and stayed with his chest. But apart from that, I mean, I think the lads in front of him did a tremendous job. I mean, they kept those 3 strikers at bay for most of that game, and that's all you can ask. And I'm not going to have a downer on Edison. He didn't have a great game, but he didn't have the opportunity. If you're only going to have 1 decent shot and it beats you, there's not much else you can do, really.
Yeah. Next up is Kyle Walker at right back. 1 block shot, 1 interception, 1 tackle, 1 out of 3 ground duels were won. 10 times he lost to possession, 79 touches, 92% accurate passes, 2 key passes, none out of 1 crosses were accurate, 1 out of 2 long balls were accurate. Thoughts on Walker's performance last night?
Yeah, just quickly, Mohamed's just commented about the PSG attackers not tracking back. That's not their job, mate. So I wouldn't worry about it. You know, PSG, you don't expect them to in the same way you wouldn't expect Ronaldo to track back for United. That's just how they play the game. And Mike there's spot on there with it. I think it was a great game for the neutral, wasn't it? Yeah, Walker, I thought it was great. I mean, against Everton, he was overhitting things. I think he was putting in some dangerous crosses last night. I was quite impressed defensively. I think he got turned by that lad. I think you might have mentioned him before, that left back that has been linked with us. I think he got turned by him, didn't he? He went strolled past him and nearly set up a goal, to be honest with you. But that's the only thing I can remember he did wrong. And if that's just the only thing I can remember. Yeah, Walker had a good game last night, certainly going forward as well.
Yeah. Big up Mike, big up Mohammed, both in the chat. Next up then, John Stones at centre back. 1 tackle, 1 error that led to a shot. I don't know what he was doing for that. 3 times he lost to possession, 1 foul, 44 touches, 98% accurate passes, 5 out of 5 long balls were accurate, and none out of 1 dribble attempts were successful. Thoughts on Stones' performance last night?
Yeah, we were lucky to get away with that error, to be honest with you. I think he tried to obviously he got a ball from Diaz with about 2 or 3 guys on him, and then he tried to, and that's what John Stones was. He tries to look too calm sometimes, and when you look at the fact he's looking too calm, he sort of makes errors because he is too calm. He doesn't panic about anything. If he sort of put his foot on it and got it back to Edison or something like that, it wouldn't have been a problem. But he always tries to think his way out of it and play his way out of it, and sometimes it doesn't work. And that's a problem with John Stones in the past, and it's exactly the same last night. I seriously think he's in jeopardy again of Laporte taking his place based on last night. It'd be a bit unfair. It's just 1 game, but yeah. Apart from that, again, as a defence, we were brilliant, and he was brilliant. It was just such a shame. I think there was another one we was a bit iffy for as well. I can't remember the specifics of it, but yeah, a little bit worried now for John. You know me, I love John Stones. I'd have him there every game of the week, but as you say, he's far too cool sometimes. So sometimes, mate, as a defender, you've got, you perhaps you have to put it in Rose head or get rid. And John Stones doesn't think like, which is good. It's good he doesn't think like that, but it did nearly cost us last night, unfortunately.
Yeah, and then his partner last night was Ruben Diaz. Stick another £100 million attacker in the pocket of Ruben Diaz. 1 block shot, 1 he was dribbled past once, none out of 2 ground duels were won, none out of 2 aerial duels were won. 2 times he lost a possession, 1 foul, 67 touches, 97% accurate passes, 5 out of 5 long balls were accurate, and 1 block shot. Thoughts on Diaz's performance?
Yeah, you just read 97% there, didn't you? Pass accuracy.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, Stones was 98%, wasn't he? So he was a percentage better, even though obviously, as I said, he did make that little mistake. But Diaz is imperious, mate, isn't he? It doesn't matter who he's playing. I mean, to me, they've got great players, PSG. Let's not be honest about it. But he's just as comfortable playing against them as he is playing against, say, Wycombe Wanderers or Everton on a bad day, which is what they had the other day. He's just obviously imperious. He didn't play against Everton, but a team like Everton, put it that way, a team like Everton plays. But yeah, he's what can you say? I mean, he to me, I usually link Stones and Diaz or Diaz and Laporte together, but Diaz was outstanding on his own last night.
Yeah, and then at left back was João Cancelo, his Portuguese teammate. 4 interceptions. 2, he was dribbled past twice. 2 out of 7 ground duels were won. 1 out of 1 aerial duels were won. 14 times he lost a possession. 3 fouls. 99 touches. 87% accurate passes. 1 key pass. None out of 3 crosses were accurate. 6 out of 10 long balls were accurate, and 2 out of 2 dribble attempts were successful. Thoughts on Cancelo's performance last night?
Yeah, looking at the stats, he was our worst percentage of pass accuracy, wasn't he? But which is you'd expect, because if you're going to ask Cancelo to be dynamic and create things, it's not always going to come off in the same way KDB probably wouldn't always, you get that sort of percentage with KDB, even though he might have a great game, because not everything works, like everything comes off. And Cancelo was the same. And I think the fact he has Zinchenko on that left-hand side, I think that was good. I think that made him look even better. I'll be honest with you, last night. I thought that left-hand side with Zinchenko isn't going to, let's face it, isn't going to get many games, is he? But I thought it looked pretty good. That certainly the first half, and obviously we had to change it once the goal went in the second half. But no, I was quite happy with that left-hand side with them two guys. I was impressed. We'll talk about Zinchenko in a minute. But I think Cancelo revelled in the fact that he had someone like Zinchenko with him there as well.
Yeah. And then next up, into
we lost Charlie. I'm sure he'll be back on in a minute. We're going to go into midfield, I think, when he comes back.
Sorry about that.
And he's here. He's here now. He's back.
I don't know what happened there.
Back in the room.
Yeah. Just disappeared for some reason.
Into midfield we're going.
Into midfield, Rodri is next up. 97 touches, 95% accurate passes. 4 out of 5 long balls were accurate. 1 shot on target, 1 shot off target. 1 out of 4 ground duels were won. 1 out of 1 aerial duels were won. 7 times he lost the possession, 3 fouls, and 1 tackle. Rodri has been brilliant in the last few weeks, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, there was even one in the first, was it that header at the back post where it didn't quite fall for a City player? But I mean, I think I commented a while back, for a big lad, he doesn't seem to get up and win many headers up where it matters, but he certainly did in that one, and it was such a shame it didn't end up in a goal. I think that was in about partway through the first half. I'm not sure what happened with it. I just remember him rising like a salmon and heading it across. But yeah, a great game for Rodri. It's gone under the radar. He did have another Rodri's rocket in the second half that nearly knocked out some poor guy in the stands about 20 yards wide of the post. But this is why I dropped my Rodri's rocket, because he was doing too many of them. But hey, we'll forgive him that. He had, as you said, another great game, and he just like Cancelo and 2 or 3 of the others. He just seems to be growing and getting better and better. Yeah.
So next up, we'll go through some of the comments and then we'll go to the next player. Mohammed says, if you had to start 1 player, bench 1 player, and sell 1 player out of Cancelo, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Reece James, what would you do, Bernard?
I like Reece James very, very much. I'll be honest with you, but at the moment on form, you can't really do much. You're not going to sell Cancelo, are you? Let's be honest about it. So I certainly would start Cancelo. I would bench Trent, who is okay, but I mean, obviously you'd have to sell Reece. Get a fortune for him, because I quite like him. I quite like the guy, to be honest with you, but just get a load of money for him.
Yeah. You can't really complain at a lot of money, can you? And he also says Rodri is the best defensive midfielder in the world right now.
I can't disagree with that, mate, at the moment. As I say, me and Rodri, I was up to probably the start of this season. I was always thinking, he's all right. I want to see a bit more, but hey, we're seeing it this season.
Yeah. Next up then is Ilkay Gundogan in midfield. We're just going to get the stats up. Here we go. 76 touches, 97% accurate passes, 2 key passes, 2 out of 5 crosses were accurate, 1 shot off target, 1 shot blocked, 2 out of 2 dribble attempts were successful, 3 out of 6 ground duels were won, 1 out of 1 aerial duels were won, 8 times he lost the possession. He was fouled once, offside once, 1 interception, and dribbled past twice. I thought a shot off the post would be classed as on target, wouldn't you?
No, it has to be in. It has to be in to be on target. It's not otherwise.
Yeah, so
we have our Gundalorian back, don't we? Yeah. Another one of my little things like Rodri's rocket. So we had the Gundalorian last year when KDB was injured, and he stepped up, didn't he? Let's be honest about it. But we've not really seen that. But thankfully, fingers crossed. Not only, and we're going to speak about another player up front in a minute who seems to be on his way back as well. But Yeah, the Gundalorian's back. I thought it was brilliant. This is more like what we expect from Gundo. He loved it. He loves this European stuff, and we want to see a bit more against English teams, perhaps. But again, what can we say? I thought it was superb. Obviously, you'll go on to the man of the match later. It's certainly him and a couple of others I had in mind for that. But he was great last night. He revelled in that last night against a good team. I think some of these players, if they play a good team, it just increases their abilities. It's amazing, and it happens at all levels. You probably played football, Charlie. When you play football in an organised team, even at our level, if you play a better team, it improves you, and this is what happened certainly with 3 or 4 of our players last night. Playing last night against a pretty good PSG team, sort of raised their standard as well. So yeah, Gundalorian's back. I'm happy with that.
Yeah. In midfield was a bit of an odd decision by Pep, but Zinchenko started in midfield next to him. He was only on the pitch for 54 minutes, though. He was actually the only sub. We only made one sub in the game. He went off for Gabriel Jesus, who we'll talk about later. 28 touches, 95% accurate passes, 1 key pass. None out of 1 crosses were accurate. 1 out of 1 long balls were accurate. 2 shots blocked. None out of 3 ground duels were won. 4 times he lost the possession, and he was dribbled past once. Thoughts on Zinchenko's performance?
Yeah, the thing is Zinchenko, because he's not been playing, has he? And to come into a game like that and to put up even a half decent performance would be good. I thought he played really well last night. He played more, and I think he has played in that position. He's played at international level for City, and he's never, it's been okay, not been great. But I think last night he revelled in it again with playing in that position. And obviously, as I said before, with Cancelo, I think the two worked off each other really well. And all credit to Zinchenko. He's not been playing many games, but he's slotted in there, and you think he'd been playing all the time. So yeah, I thought he had a good performance.
Yeah, we're joined by Patrick now. How are you, mate?
I completely forgot. Not excited with work
because
I'm working from home because of isolation. Then when I looked at the time after I was done with the document, I was like, "Oh shit, I'm supposed to be on with Charlie." So sorry about that.
No worries, pal.
Are you guys talking about Zinchenko?
Yeah. How do you think he played?
It was okay. Look, it's just the fact that the other two are above him in playing in that position. So I think that's why he didn't look. He looked out of place, but he looked in place, but it looked like he's not there yet. But it's just because the other guys, I think, are way better, because they've been in that position many times. But for the job he was meant to do, I think he did it, because I think he was brought in to help Cancelo with Messi, for them to overload him. And he when Cancelo goes in front, you noticed Zinchenko was going back to cover the spot sometimes. So he did his job. I think I've always said this, just me. People will be surprised when Zinchenko actually becomes a proper midfielder. Like, they leave him to just stay in midfield in a few games. You would be shocked that the kid is actually talented. So I think he did well for his part. It's just that I think, as I said, it's unfair for somebody who is not always given that position. And then you're given that position with people like Gundogan and Bernardo, who are on fire and are above you for the minute because they've been there for so long. It makes you look like the weak point out of everything, but he did very well.
Yeah.
With him getting hooked as well, he wasn't hooked because he was playing badly. He just needed that change of tactics. So even that looked bad, but it wasn't bad because it was just a way of getting Jesus on and changing the style of play.
Yeah. Into the front three now, starting with on the right was Riyad Mahrez. 3 shots on target, 1 shot off target, 1 shot blocked. None out of 4 dribble attempts were successful. 97 touches, 92% accurate passes, 4 key passes. 4 out of 7 crosses were accurate. 1 out of 3 long balls were accurate. 9 out of 13 ground duels were won. None out of 1 aerial duels were won. 14 times he lost the possession. He was fouled 4 times, 1 interception, and 5 tackles. We'll start with you, Bernard. How do you think Mahrez played?
Yeah, that's quite. Again, like as we mentioned before about certain guys raising the game. I think Mahrez does it. He does it all the time against good opposition. He plays a lot better. We'd like to see a bit more of him playing like that against so-called weaker opposition. That's when he lets himself down and you think he's got an attitude problem. But last night, because he's playing with quality players, he's playing against a quality team. All of a sudden, Mahrez looks like the international player he is, where he plays international games, and that's what we want to see. And Mahrez has to realise this. He's got to prove that and do this in other games again. At wherever it is on a Tuesday, Aston Villa on a Tuesday night. It doesn't matter where it is. That's what we want to see from him, and that's what he has to do. And Pep needs to see that. He was excellent last night, but this we want to see more of that.
Yeah. Patrick, how do you think Mahrez played?
I think he did very well. I think he was causing trouble. Look, that the kid, the left back, I know he has had bad games and people were calling him a fraud, which is funny. He's just 18. I know some of the City fans are a bit sour because there was rumors that we wanted him and they told us 70 million. Then PSG went and made deals and they reduced the price for them. But I think the kid has talent because regardless that Mahrez was getting him a few times, the kid tried. And the kid was the one who was causing us trouble. But look, on Mahrez, he did his best. And it's true what you just mentioned there. It looks like every time there's a big occasion and you have to play the big guns, Mahrez becomes the Mahrez we know. He shows up because he was looking like one of the guys trying to drag the team to the finish line. Those crosses, unfortunately, that's another thing I think we should improve on, where people should be in the box. There was a lot of crosses that went across the goal of PSG. Nobody was there, but Mahrez was very good. He was on fire. He tried his best, even though he failed. I think most times he got dispossessed when he was about to, they took the ball away from him when he was about to shoot. I think that's why, because he tried to shoot multiple times, they blocked it. So maybe that's why he has got a big rate of losing the ball, because I didn't see him lose the ball much at a dangerous area in our pitch. So look, as always, PSG know that Mahrez is trouble for them. I'm pretty sure when they saw him, they're like, oh, not this guy again. So he played very good. People were also doubting him. I saw a few comments saying, oh, he doesn't track back. Why do we have him in the lineup? But that's another funny thing. Last year, we were all praising him for saving us against PSG and that he's working hard. He was also working hard in this game. I saw him a few times track back, go back and get the ball away from Neymar. So look, as Ito said already, Mahrez always shows up in these big games. Maybe the issue is when it's not a big game, he seems to be like, should I bother? I'm that good. Maybe things will just work out for me. Then he looks bad in those games.
Yeah. Next up then is, in my opinion, one of the best players on the pitch last night, Bernardo Silva. 1 assist, that was for the third goal for Jesus. 1 out of 3 dribble attempts were successful, 56 touches, 100% accurate passes, which is an absolute joke from midfield, let's be honest. 2 key passes, none out of 3 crosses were accurate, 1 big chance created, 1 out of 4 ground duels were won, 6 times he lost the possession, and he was dribbled past once. Thoughts on Bernardo's performance, Bernard?
Yeah, well, me and Bernardo, Bernardo Silva, as my lad calls him, the Irishman, Bernardo Silva. So yeah, I'll take that. But he's great, isn't he? I mean, that little cushion back for the goal. I mean, it was just. I mean, any other player would have probably just had a shot or done something else. But he's so alert to everything. He's just so clever and. I've said to Charlie Patrick a few times, I wanted him to play further up the pitch this season. He's been playing far too deep and been like a carrier of the ball from back in defence and stuff. And now he is playing a little bit further up. We're seeing it out. We're seeing this wonderful skill that just to set up that goal. That was absolutely superb. And he can't do much wrong. I mean, again, as far as man of the match is concerned, I'll give Bernardo man of the match far too many times. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But another cracking performance from the Irishman.
Yeah. We'll go to you then, Patrick. Thoughts on Bernardo's performance last night?
I was just arguing with. I was just having a small argument. It always seems to be me. So we have a chat at work. It's full of like guys from work, but majority are Liverpool fans. You know yourself in Ireland, majority are just Liverpool fans. It's either they through their grandfather or their parents, or they all love Liverpool. So I dropped this. Somebody wrote a message saying, you know, Liverpool fans and their players. So they always write these messages, always hyping their players. So they say, oh, Salah deserves to be put on the Ballon d'Or very high. If you're considering right now, and he also deserves to be said that he's the most informed and complete player right now. So I said, look, I get it. Then one of them said, you would not mention any other player apart from Salah who's good right now. I dropped Bernardo Silva, and they were all going like, no, already defense. No, he's not that great. I was like, no. Don't get me wrong. Salah is at the top. We get Salah is at the top. But Bernardo Silva right now, who's a better midfielder? Point out a better midfielder than Bernardo Silva. Then one of them said Thiago. I was like, we were talking about right now. I was like, if we're talking about like the whole time, I wouldn't even put Salah. There's names above Salah, but I'm saying for now. So for me, I'm going to continue this. I'm pretty sure you've seen me on Twitter. I've already started the agendas on Walker. I've already started the promotion on Cancelo. I think ourselves also a City fan, we have to. I don't care if people say I'll be the loud one in the room. I think we these guys are good, and Bernardo Silva is good, because even right now, if we were to point out at the top of my head, even the teams in the Champions League, who's better than Bernardo Silva? Bernardo Silva can walk into any of those teams and punch somebody. And I know that you're saying that maybe he's been going back. I think at the beginning he was, because I think he was helping Rodri a bit. But now I think Rodri maybe has told him you don't need to come back, because that's another player who has become something amazing. So Bernardo doesn't have to track back anymore. But you're right. We were all asking for years as City fans that when is Bernardo going to play down the middle? Because let's not forget, the reason why we bought him was because he destroyed us in the Monaco game. And where was he playing in the Monaco game? Down the middle. And if you look at all his videos, when he plays down the middle, he used to be dangerous. Like, people used to suffer. So it's about time, you're right, that he plays up front. And I think he was the best player on the pitch, just for me, maybe in my opinion, that he was the best player on the pitch. And I don't know if you guys saw the little dribble he had when three people were on him. He actually got himself out of the situation. I was like, oh my God, this guy is very good. Let's just hope. Just hope.
The crowd we gasped because we didn't believe he could, and that's the thing. We just didn't believe he's not going to get out of this, and he did. And we went, right, his magic was brilliant. Yeah.
Were you there yesterday?
Yeah, last night. Yeah.
How did that look though? Because from the TV, it also looked great.
Yeah, fantastic. It was brilliant. As I say, I mean, we know he can perform miracles, but that one you were just mentioning there, I do remember specifically thinking, how the hell did he get in? And the crowd did actually do an audible gasp because they didn't expect him to do it.
Yeah.
And Bernardo Silva, we know that you watched the dugout, so please, don't leave. What if you want the sun? We'll find a way to get you the sun. So don't leave.
Yeah. And then the final starter was Raheem Sterling. His stats were 1 goal, 1 shot on target, 1 shot off target. 2 out of 3 dribble attempts were successful, 48 touches, 88% accurate passes, 3 key passes, none out of 1 crosses were accurate, 1 out of 1 long balls were accurate. 3 out of 10 ground duels were won, 1 out of 1 aerial duels were won. 12 times he lost a possession, 3 fouls, was offside once, 1 tackle, and he was dribbled past once as well. Bernard, thoughts on Sterling's performance?
Well, I think the fact that whether we believe the rumours or not, he's asked to go. I think that's probably, in one way or the other, it's improved him because of this, the last game and this game. It's a bit more what we want to see from Sterling. So, I mean, it could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. But I mean, at the end of the day, if he is going to go, I mean, I've heard figures like 40 million, 45 million. I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous amount of money. So if he is going to go, and let's face it, if he wants to go and he's not happy, that's fair enough. And it means that at least for another couple of months we'll get them sort of performances. I'll be upset, but I'll be quite happy. And obviously we can sort of command now 70 or 80 million again because obviously he's putting the performances in. But it's a funny one, isn't it, with Raheem? Because I say that is a bit like the old Raheem, what we're seeing the Everton game and today, last night. And great, but I just wish it was under better circumstances. I'm not too sure what's going on in the background at the moment, but we'll take it. We'll take it as long as he's doing that for us. I don't mind.
Yeah, and Patrick, how do you think Sterling played?
Great. He's been doing well. Even the cameos he's been getting. The beginning one at the start, the cameos were bad, and everyone was disappointed. But he recently looks like he's just put up his socks and say, "Let me perform." Because for me, I was still not buying this whole thing that he's out of form, because I was watching the England games and I watch England a lot. I was like, no, Harry Kane and Raheem, you have to tell us something. You have to tell us what you're doing at your clubs purposely, because you go to England, they're performing at a high level. I know maybe the opponents might be different, but still, they're still performing. Because what I've seen in the past, when a player has bad form, it's also bad form at international level. It's bad, both sides. So look, it's good that he's coming back. One guy one time told me last year that you might need him for the Champions League one day. I says, even though he missed few goals for you guys like Leon, but he says you have to get him. He says those tap-ins he does will one day help you get over the line at the final. So for me, I'm positive with it. If he's going, he's going, but I'd rather him go in a way where he's still scoring those goals. Because look, that's the Raheem we had seasons ago. When we are struggling at a game, he used to come from nowhere and just poke it at the back of the net, or he used to do his tap-ins or just score a goal, So he was always either it was him or Aguero, always the first ones to score a goal, and then it helps us on. So we need that sort of Raheem. So I was happy to see him. I'm happy to see that he scored in the last goal. I'm pretty sure now his confidence is up. His confidence is up because he scored the last one and he's also scored in this one. Let's see if he continues, And I know Pep loves him, because with even Grealish said he's one of the best people with movement in the box. And Grealish said, I would like to learn how to be in places like Raheem. So we need him.
Yeah. City Extra have actually just tweeted about Sterling in the last couple of moments. Talking about a January move, it says allowing Sterling to leave the club is not part of City's plans. So he seems part of the plans in the future, and he's
he is part of the plans, but if he won't sign a contract at the end of the day, it's one of those things. He's not now. You can do as a club. We cannot. Not everyone wants to play for you. We all have different ideas what we want to do, and if he goes, we'll all send him out with our best wishes, and we'll get what we can in the meantime, and then we're grateful for it if it means he gets us through next round of the FA Cup in January before he goes, or he's here till the summer, whatever it is. If he wins us the Champions League, we'll be dead chuffed, and if he still wants to go, he wants to go, and that's all there is to it. And it's just speculation. No one really knows. I mean, Pep will play him now. Pep loves him. We know Pep loves him. He loves all his players. I know he has fallouts with them, like we all do. We all have fallouts with our players. Of course we do. But Pep loves him, and you won't want him to go, of course. And you'll probably see Sterling getting. He'll probably start again on Sunday now, based on that. You'll see him because once Sterling's fit, he plays every game. Let's be honest about it.
Yeah.
That's the sort of guy he is. So we'll see that. And but there is a lot going on, and all this speculation, City Extra. I read some stuff on City Extra, which I sort of believe, and I read a lot on City Extra I don't believe. But I mean, that's just the media in general. So I wouldn't worry too much. But yeah, there is something that has been wrong, and it looks as though at the moment it might be being sorted out temporarily, but on the basis that something might happen in the future that we don't know about. But that's all it is. Speculation, but we'll take what we get at the moment.
Yeah. And then only one sub was made during the game. That was Gabriel Jesus. In the game, 36 minutes played, 1 goal, 1 assist, 1 shot on target, 1 shot block, none out of 2 dribble attempts were successful, 16 touches, 71% accurate passes, 1 key pass, none out of 1 crosses were accurate, 1 big chance created, 1 out of 6 ground duels were won, 6 times he lost the possession, 2 fouls, 1 offside, and 1 tackle. We'll go to you, Bernard. Thoughts on Jesus' performance?
Yeah, I mean, I thought he might have started the game, but as it turned out, it's just another Pep. He doesn't make many substitutions, does he? Unless he's sort of resting players, he doesn't make any. He doesn't really make tactical substitutions. He relies on his 11 he puts out there, and the basis they're going to do the job. But that was a perfect substitution. It's no disrespect to Zinchenko. He hadn't done anything wrong at all. But he saw that we needed Jesus up there to cause PSG problems, especially when we were a goal down. So that was a brilliant substitution. And Jesus rewarded him. He didn't do everything right. Of course he didn't. But we know what Jesus is like. He's a bit like not like Bernardo Silva skill-wise, but he's annoying. He's annoying to players. He's annoying to the opposition. He's a pest. He mithers him. He does think, he keeps going. He never gives up. And that's what we wanted. And he got rewarded with a great goal as well. And that was a typical number 9 goal, wasn't it? We know it's not always worked out for him, but I was pretty chuffed for him last night, to be honest with you, when he came on and scored that goal as well, because I think Jesus is, a lot of people have a bit of a downer on him, and not just at City, but generally people sort of don't rate him, and I like Jesus. I think he's very, very good at what he does, and yeah, I was well chuffed for him last night. I thought he came on for that cameo about 30 odd minutes. He played really well.
Yeah, Patrick, how do you think Jesus played?
Yeah, as what Bernardo said, a lot of people don't rate him, and I think it's for me. I think we have to start giving him respect because he has scored goals that are important. If you think about it, like if you look at Jesus's catalog of goals, he's scored important goals, and he has come in a few times in the past and helped us, and the press is better. Teams seem to be scared to pass from the back when Jesus is in there. He knows how to press, as Pep said. I think it's unfair on this guy. It's always been unfair since day one when we came to City, because it was always the media right away put a shining light on a young guy, a young kid that time from Brazil, saying, oh, Pep wants this kid to take over Aguero, who seems to be the most loved and a legend of a player and somebody who can score from everywhere. So since day one, he's been fighting against it. But if you look at his stats and if you look at what he's done closely, and you look at big strikers who people say are world class, he gets close. He gets very close. Like, he's very close to some people. Even some of these shout outs right now, this recent one, like Andre Silva and them, who people say, oh, I would love to have Andre Silva in my team. I would love to have so and so in my team. You will find Jesus is not very far away. If you put all his goals, especially in the Champions League, he's got 17 goals already in the Champions League, and all the goals he scored, majority, a few of them are with big teams. He made Varane look like a joke. Let's not forget that. He exposed Varane as a fraud. Sorry for Madrid fans, but he exposed him, and after that, Varane has never been the same. So this is what I'm trying to say, that he did well, and when he came on, I'm pretty sure you guys noticed the press was different. PSG were not being so comfortable in just passing the ball at the back, because he knows when to press and he's very good. It's just that he looks like we beat him so hard with the stick that he's not the number 9 we're looking for, at the point where he went to Pep and say, I want to play at the right-hand side. But I think Jesus, if given few games and a few hope, because let's not even forget, he's been given games, but he always gets... Next week, he's no longer there as a first 9. I think he can actually do it. I think maybe he should continue going to the right-hand side, then switch with one of the wingers, and he will be getting the goals. Because let's not forget, every goal he's got recently, funny enough, has been a number 9 goal, which has made me laugh. He's got the number 9 goals. I haven't seen him doing a tap-in from the side. It's always him, straight, number 9 goal, curve it, or poach. So that's what I can say. He did very well.
Yeah. Next up, then, we'll talk about Pep. We'll go to you first, Bernard. He got it spot on last night, didn't he?
Yeah, well, he didn't overthink it last night, did he? He overthought it. When I saw that first 11, I thought, what the hell's he doing here? Zinchenko and, all this. And I thought, oh, I'm not too sure. But, hey, let's hope he stops. He doesn't do this overthinking. And he was spot on. And did we say it on air, or I can't remember now. But obviously, he said he didn't have much time to work with his guys before this. He didn't have much time to get together and plan it with Foden picking up a late injury, as we said. So that was amazing. It was amazing for the players, but obviously most of them are on his wavelength now. They've been there long enough to know what his wavelength is. And this is why people like Rodri are improving, I think, so much as well, because they've been there long enough. All all of a sudden they're sort of on the Pep wavelength, and it was just another masterclass from Pep last night. As I say, I love it when he makes a tactical substitution, because at least he knows there's something wrong. So I always think, oh no, he's going to stick with his first 11. He's not going to change this. What's he doing like? But all of a sudden last night he changed it, and perhaps that's a good omen going forward as well. Perhaps in certain games where you think, it's 70 minutes, Pep, you've not made a sub yet, we're losing 1-0, what are you doing? Sometimes, perhaps that'll give him a little kick as well to do stuff like that, because it worked last night. It was wonderful bringing Jesus on for Zinchenko. Worked totally. It was unforced. He didn't need to do it. And that's the side of Pep you don't see that much of. He's a bit, what's the word, stubborn? I think we can use the word stubborn sometimes, obviously. And that he wasn't stubborn last night. He changed it when it needed changing. And I thought I was excellent from Pep last night.
Yeah, and Patrick, thoughts on Pep last night?
Yeah, that was thinking about it now. Even if we lost, but I think that's it. Bring it back to the Zinchenko. I think people still don't see Zinchenko as a midfielder. That's why we were all panicking. But if we all know deep down inside, somebody wrote me a private message and said, "But is Zinchenko a midfielder?" He's like, "I'm pretty sure it's Zinchenko." He's like, "I'm pretty sure he's not going to take Cancelo." Because I thought Cancelo will play as a winger. Maybe that's what he was thinking, since Foden is not there, and then he'll flood the midfield, or Zinchenko go this side. But somebody was like, but let's not forget that Zinchenko is a midfielder. So maybe he wants somebody to help Messi that side and be in midfield. So that's why. Then when I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, Zinchenko is a midfielder. Why am I panicking? He's a midfielder. But anyway, I'm pretty sure, as Bernard said, we are all scared that he was going to overthink it. What is he doing? Is he going to do something fancy? If I was in Pep's ear, I think going forward until the end of this Champions League, just throw the team that wins, throw the team our best 11 and tell them that, look, maybe in the past you've thought that I overthink, but for this, here you are. This is you guys. You're going to finish it till the end. I think they can actually do it. So at least it pulled off. But I'm sure that if we lost, we were all going to go on the attack. Say no to that. Yeah. But anyway, maybe that's why Pep gets the money, unlike us. Maybe that's why he's on the big bucks, because he knows how to set it well. But but deep down inside, I'm pretty sure we were all sweating, saying, "What the hell is he doing this time? What the hell is he doing?" So he got it right. He got it right. And most of all, also, I can say, like what Bernard said, Pep never changes the game. He will leave it until. I don't like that, by the way, where he just stands there like this, and we are losing 1-0. He stands there like that, and you're like, is he lost? And it's 78 minutes.
Not when we've had Mancini dragging them off about 30 minutes into the game in the past. When you've had that in the past, it's a bit confusing. And
78 minutes. Have you not been 78 minutes? It's the 78th minute he starts considering changing, and the whole time it's just like this. So fair play to him for changing. I think the Jesus change needed to kill off the momentum from PSG, because they were getting too comfortable. So that's a good one for Pep. If I was rating him, I would give him a 10 out of 10 because of the change, obviously.
It sounds a bit daft, but I think the fact they scored quite early in the second half was good for us. I think that helped, to be honest with you. It sort of brought out a bit of the fact that they did score earlier. If it had been a bit later on, I think it might have been a struggle, but it sort of stung us into action, didn't it? We sort of, don't poke the bear, lads. Let's go.
Yeah. I know you weren't at the game last night, Patrick, but I know you was, Bernard. We'll just quickly talk about the fans. Was a sellout last night, actually, so no rivals tears, talking about empty seats for the first time in a while. Thoughts on the atmosphere last night, Bernard?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how it came out over the telly, obviously, but I'm always surrounded by different guys in Champions League games. I usually go with my lad, but he's a bit poorly at the moment, so he can't get to the games. But I always see different faces. And the trouble is that these different faces aren't usually very noisy. Let's put it this way. I'm in the singing section, and they're too busy on the phones and taking pictures and videos and stuff like that. And you get, the so-called tourists, if you like. But last night, there was loads of new guys there, but they were all on the seats. See, even before kickoff, they're all on the seats. I mean, I'm an old guy now. now. As these young lads diving about, it's a bit too much for me. But I'll put up with it at the end of the day. They're supporting my team, so I don't mind. You know, I feel like saying, I can't see the game, lads. Sit down. You know, I can't see what's going on. You know, because they're actually stood on the seats. So I mean, I'm tall anyway, so because we stand up. But obviously, so it was just great last night. It was just a great atmosphere. The Palace fans were okay. There was like I can't see level 2 and 3 from where we are, obviously. So I assume, but the ones in the bottom bit, there's like a sliver of them down the middle that I could see him, you know, sing. You couldn't hear him particularly, not from where we were, because I don't think the acoustics are great anyway at the Etihad at the best of times. So I couldn't really hear him. But I thought the City fans were up for it last night. And even when we went a goal down, you know, it didn't last too. We were sort of down for a couple of minutes, but it didn't last long. We got back up for it, and they went quiet, obviously, as you would do. But no, I thought it was tremendous. One of the better Etihad nights. I mean, I remember the old Main Road nights in Europe, and they were quite good. They were never packed, but they were always a better atmosphere than the league games. It's a bit odd one back to Main Road. You know, in those days, they were always good atmospheres, but it was never sellouts. It was always like 30-odd thousand when it could be 50,000. But the atmosphere was always brilliant. And last night it wasn't the best night. Obviously, you think of Hamburgs and some of the other big games we played over the years, but it was really good last night. And I think Pep commented, didn't he? Pep thanked the fans, and I've even noticed in his programme notes, I think someone from PR's had a word with him, because the last two match programmes, he's complimented the fans as well. So I've noticed that. He didn't normally do that. So perhaps someone's had a word
after him. Don't forget they went after him.
Be a bit nicer to the fans, and I think we're seeing that now.
Don't forget people went after him after those other comments. So I think he's learned his lesson. Is like, no, let me stay away from this. Can I ask something for both of you guys, since you are there? Obviously, I'm laughing at it now, and I'm going to start an agenda on Twitter in a few minutes, because I'm not forgiving anymore. I don't forgive PSG, because every time they do something, they tweet. Even Mbappe likes tweeting towards us. When we lost to Lyon, he tweeted that Farmers League, huh? So I never forgive him for that. How did you guys feel when he said dancing? Oh my God, he was dancing after. Did you see that? Well, you guys far away from that. He was dancing with Hakimi
after the goal.
Yeah,
I sort of noticed we'd been done something. We were looking for him because they was all going to the halfway line, weren't they? But them two were still over in the corner. And then I looked at he just wanted to just run on the pitch and strangle him or something like that. But you're not allowed to these days. It's not fair, really. But there you go. But no, it was annoying to say the least. But the best thing you can do with something like that is just beat them, and that's what we did. So it's great.
Yeah. Next up, we're going to talk about PSG. We'll go to you first, Bernard. How do you think they played?
Yeah, I thought, as I said to you, I thought they played as well as we allowed them to play. And I think off air, Patrick, before I was saying to Charlie that the way we zipped the ball about was a bit more like we did 3 or 4 seasons ago, that we don't tend to do as much now. And we zip it about, and the 93% pass completion, yet we were playing at a good pace. We were playing at a good pace last night. We weren't just knocking it around the back four and doing that. And I think PSG, they had 90% completion. So they're a good team. There's no doubt about it. Yes, they've got some players I wouldn't ever have, Herrera, people like that. I don't particularly like Di Maria. They've got certain guys I don't like, but I thought they were good. But obviously they met a better team. It's simple as that. I still think PSG are probably amongst the top 5 or 6 in the Champions League, definitely. And we're definitely up top 3 or 4. I mean, we're the favourites to win it again, as we usually are. PSG were the favourites before kickoff, believe it or not. But all of a sudden, we're the favourites again now. But I think they're a good team. Yes, they play in a Farmers League, but they're a cracking team on the day. They're a bit like. What's the word? When I say our players raise the game, obviously PSG can as well. They obviously against the good teams, they raise the game, and they just do enough against the rubbishy teams. And we've got a bit like that, to be honest with you. We sort of do enough to beat average teams, but we raise our game when it comes to the big ones. So long may it continue. But I'm not surprised by PSG. I thought they played exactly how I expected them to, and I'm not unimpressed with them. I think they're a good team. Yeah.
Patrick, how do you think PSG played?
Look, I'm gonna be honest. I also said this yesterday. I was on a podcast with one of my good friends. He's a Chelsea fan, but he does all the games. So he called me there, and we were there together. until 4 a.m., which is ridiculous. But anyway, but I think PSG in both games played poorly. But same thing as Bernardo said, it's how we allowed them to play, which is great. Don't forget this, as he says, seasons ago, this was the City. Remember the one with David Silva, the one where we used to make people give up. I don't know if you saw the United game. Players gave up, started walking. The first time we saw this was the Chelsea game, when they all gave up and Fabregas just started a tantrum and said almost fought with Fernandinho. They gave up, but I think Guy Neville was like, look, they've given up, they're walking. That's the football we look for. Sometimes City, when they play that football, it's amazing, where there's nothing you can do. You can blame Messi, Mbappe, and Neymar. I know a lot of people are saying they're lazy. I also say the same thing, but they had nothing. Like, what are they going to do? The ball is just being zipped like this. You can imagine as a player, you're chasing shadows. So look, I'm happy that we played them off the park. But PSG in general, to be honest with you, as a team, they're not as great as people say they are. As a team, I think it's just a matter of individuals showing up. As I said, the last game and this game, if you can see both goals, even goals from last time, it's the three guys at the front, and Di Maria's involved in this. If they do something, that's when something happens. But you never expect PSG to have a pass from, like, let's say, like a pass from De Bruyne, like a De Bruyne pass. It's always the three. They get passes together. They do 1-2 and get into your box, like what Neymar almost scored against us. So they played as PSG. That's what I can say. They did play as PSG. So PSG playing is individual brilliance. I keep saying that, and PSG fans keep going at me saying I don't know what I'm talking about, but I think it's about individuals in PSG. If the individuals are having a bad day or you mark them off the park, I think you've completely made PSG useless. So,
Pastor, we talked before about the keeper. We're a bit. Why wasn't Donnarumma? Is it how it's pronounced? What do you know why he wasn't playing? I thought he was their main guy.
I think he was coming from an injury or something. I think he wasn't fully fit or something. So even though some PSG fans are pissed off, they're saying they wanted Ramos on the pitch. They said regardless that Ramos is like 70%. I was like, are you sure? They're like, yeah, we wanted him on the pitch. So they also wanted Donnarumma on the pitch. Apparently, Neves. That's the funny thing. Neves is the guy who saved them against the time when they knocked out Bayern and the time when they were doing so good and reached in the finals in the other time. But yet they say he's not the best keeper. They want Donnarumma now. Since he came in, Neves is useless. They say that, but I don't see that. That's true. So apparently he wasn't fully fit. He was not 100%, so that's why he was left out. Same thing as we did with Foden. I think so.
Yeah. We'll move on to the referee then, Daniele Orsato. We'll go to you first, Bernard. A shake of the head there. You weren't happy.
I have no idea. I mean, I got the impression every 50-50 he gave to them, and we didn't get any. I mean, obviously that's me being in the stands watching the game. And obviously being held up with the passion of it. I mean, there's no stats for refs, is there? We should have stats for refs of what they give and what they haven't given. We don't seem to get them, do we? Charlie, work on it, mate. Get some stats on referees of what they're giving and what they're not giving. But I just got the impression if it was a 50-50. PSG got it and we didn't. That's the impression I got last night. He was all right in himself. He didn't have to get involved with VAR or anything like that, thankfully. So at least the game flowed and we didn't have to worry about offsides and rubbish like that. But yeah, I've seen him before, that ref. I recognise his face, but I should start making more notes of, I should start making a note of the referee and what he did, and just for future reference. But I thought it was pretty bad overall, and I thought it was pretty bad to City more than he was to PSG. Yeah,
and Patrick, how do you think the ref was?
At the beginning, he started fairly, because when people once I think one PSG player was on the floor. Then a Man City one Man City player was on the floor. Then a PSG one fell on the floor. I thought he's going to do that thing where the ref blows his whistle and say this one. He didn't pick any. He went like that. But later on, as he saw that, PSG are not getting the ball here, he started giving these funny free kicks. Like, till the date of today, I'm not convinced by Neymar. He disappoints me for such a good player that he just falls, because for you to see that, look, the TV shows a lot, it exposes a lot, and the cameras are funny. They zoom into you. Some of these players smile when standing up. It's a lie. Neymar always smiles. Neymar does this on the floor. Then when the whistle is blown, he looks up. I don't know if you've noticed that on TV. He looks up. That has it been given? Then he stands up, and then he goes and starts arguing with the other players. So that's what was pissing me off. Because at this point, don't the refs already know that this is what Neymar does? Because he was the one on the floor more than everybody. So Bernard is right. The refs in the Champions League, to be honest with you, either we're playing Leipzig or whoever we're playing, I never see them with us. They're never with us. Let's not forget the Chelsea final, and this is not an excuse. There was a few moments where they had to blow the whistle. They didn't. He doesn't. Maybe they don't like us still because you, Charlie and Bernard, I'm pretty sure you were already booing the anthem. So I'm pretty sure as soon as you boo that anthem, the UEFA is already calling the ref. Make sure you don't give them anything.
Well,
So look,
I'll tell you, you made a
isn't
very valid point there, Patrick, because I remember the very first Champions League game against Napoli at the Etihad back when, back in the day, and the refs seemed really fair towards it, but we weren't booing the anthem then. So I mean, I think you've hit the nail on the head, mate. I think that's probably.
I enjoy the booing the anthem, and may it continue. You know why? Because there's no other team that does it, and it's exciting. It just makes me laugh that everybody goes, yeah. We go, boo. Obviously, we've had issues with like I hate UEFA. We've had issues with them, so we must boo to the end. But I think they take things personal because every time, let me just bring it back to this, Charlie. Why did your man come out of retirement for our last game? Remember him? Why?
Yeah.
I don't think he retired. Why?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah.
Am I the one who saw that? He came out of retirement. I thought he was crying on the pitch, saying it's goodbye, and he comes out of retirement to ref for a game. Like, I don't get it. So you see, Bernard, I think there's still bad blood with UEFA. There's still bad. That's why I still believe to the date of today that I think even Pep says it as a hint, saying nobody gives us anything. I think City, if they go to another final or ever want to win the Champions League, we must just play people off the park and just win the game. If we think, oh, they're going to give us a pen, I'm pretty sure one day we'll be in the final and there'll be an obvious pen and they'll refuse it and they'll be like, what the hell just happened? Because I don't think refs are for us in the Champions League. The same even goes in the Prem. There's certain refs, they're dodgy. They're very dodgy. Some refs are very dodgy. You're like, are you sure about that? Let's not forget about the penalty shoutout we just had in the last game where it was ignored. And then I just saw a game that was given a pen in the Prem. It was less contact, but they gave the pen. So I think you're right about that. Apart from the good call he had at the beginning, the rest, I think he started saying, you know what, let me make a game out of this. He started giving PSG those free kicks that maybe the game will be fair now. Yeah.
Yeah. In the past, this guy has reffed our game at the Bernabeu in the 1920 season in the Champions League. And then he refereed the game against Lyon at home in the group stages a couple of seasons ago. So he's only reffed us 2 or 3 times. And you mentioned before you couldn't see the second or third tier. If PSG completely sold out, to be fair to them, Bernard.
Yeah, it was only the atmosphere wise. I couldn't. We can sometimes hear from the top tiers, and I didn't hear much from the PSG top tiers. Whether I don't think they were that loud or whatever. In the same way, the third tier of the city part can be loud, but we don't. Say the acoustics aren't great. You can't. It doesn't really flow around the ground that well, so it's hard to tell.
Yeah. Next question. Man of the match. We'll go to you first, Bernard. Who are you giving it to?
Yeah, well, I had two guys, and I'm not going to give it Bernardo Silva because I always give it Bernardo Silva, the Irishman. So I'm not going to give it Bernardo Silva. I'm just going to give it Gundo. I'm going to give it the Gundalorian. Yeah, the Gundalorian's back, so I'm going to give it him because it's been a long time since I could use that Gundalorian image. I've managed to get it out there again now after a couple like the Rodri's Rockets the other day. I've managed to get the Gundalorian back out there, which I'm pretty chuffed about. So I will definitely. There's a few great players last night. Don't get me wrong, but if I had to sort of be between Bernardo and Gundalorian, I'm going to give it the Gundalorian last night.
And Patrick, who are you giving man of the match to?
I'm giving it to Messi. I was about to say like the Ballon d'Or who don't care what performance you have. They just give you a name. But anyway, I'm giving it to Walker. As I said, I'm just going
I thought you were going to give it Bernard. I thought you said Bernard was man of the match before.
Nah, I said he was the best player on the pitch, but I'm going to give it to Walker because, first of all, I see like the work he does for us is underrated. Nobody wants to play against him. Nobody wants to do it. Unfortunately, now I'm also happy that when people try to switch away from Walker to go to Cancelo, they're also not getting any joy. It looks like Cancelo, even though he sometimes makes mistakes, but he's better now. So I think they're also not getting joy. So I'm happy. But Walker, man, Walker, that Mbappe does that a lot, where he takes it first time and just hit it. If you notice, it was Walker who made him panic. That's why he hit it over, because that was going to be a goal. But Walker will let you run past him and still find you. And I've noticed that when you play against Walker, he switches his body to sort of make you sweat. And players start sweating when they see him. He starts running backwards while looking at you. So you're like, oh my God, this guy. So I give it to Walker because I think he helps us with a lot of counters. And so far, he's improved as a player in passing. It's not the same Walker we got from Spurs, by the way. This Walker is different. He's more mature. Unfortunately, I feel bad for him. Every time he has a very good cross, there's nobody to finish it. I don't know if you've noticed that. Every time Walker crosses it, nobody's there to finish it. Or the one last time where he crossed it and Raheem, as always, when he's on the left, seems like he doubts himself, failed to finish it. So Walker, for me, it's Walker, just because he's underappreciated. But if you talk about the best player on the pitch, it's actually Bernardo Silva, but I give it to Walker.
Just thinking with you mentioning that strike that hit over the bar. I remember in the second half we didn't mention that Neymar one. I mean, it was easier to hit the target than put it wide. He put it about 2 yards wide. I mean, I know you don't like him, obviously, Patrick Neymar, but what was it? It reminded me of Iniacho for Leicester in that 1-0 game where he just fitted it wide as though he didn't want to score. And Neymar's looked exactly like, it wasn't the same because in the actual sort of made a bit more, and obviously Neymar just reacted to a cross. But I just thought he looked as though he knew where he was putting it, and then where he put it was 2 yards wide of the post. It was just a real, that would have been 2-2 again. It's just a really weird thing from Neymar. Like Patrick, I'm not his biggest fan. I don't like Neymar. I wouldn't have Neymar, to be honest with you, in a million years. I just don't like his attitude. I just don't like. I'm not saying there's not a decent player in there somewhere. I just don't like him as a person, and I like personalities, and I wouldn't have him at City, that's for sure. But very unusual. He looked good. He poised himself. He was in the right sort of position to score, and then he just hit it wide. Didn't even get anywhere near the goal.
He felt bad for his friend, his national teammate Edison. He's like, nah,
must have been, yeah.
But Bernard, we all know why Nacho missed that.
Well, that's it. That's what I thought. I mean, but I couldn't. Now you said about his mate Edison, I just realised that's probably why, because he felt sorry for him, like you said.
Yeah, they were disappointed. Trust me, Neymar fans were disappointed. They're like, apparently that's not him. Apparently he will finish something like that. So they're disappointed. Anyway, go ahead, Charlie.
The final thing we're going to look at is the table. 5 games in. We have confirmed finishing top of the group. PSG can't catch us now with 4 points clear with a game to go. Leipzig absolutely battered Club Brugge in the other game. That finished 5-0 to Leipzig. It was 4-0 at half-time, I believe. So Leipzig move up to third. Club Brugge dropped to 4th. So that's a big game for Leipzig, the last game of the group. Do you reckon, we'll go to you first, Bernard, do you reckon he'll play rotational players in that game?
I mean, first of all, I was shocked by the Leipzig result. I must admit, I was hoping Brugge might nick a spot from PSG and do them over at their place in the last game of the group, but it can't happen now, obviously. So I was a bit shocked by it, to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, it's got to depend how many of the first team we've got fit. Because, Pep, I don't expect him to go over there and play 10 youngsters, you know what I mean? Because that isn't the Pep way of playing it. I expect him to perhaps go over there and give McAtee and Palmer a go. But that's about it. I can't see people like Adozi or anyone like that. I mean, possibly, but it depends on fitness of play. At the moment, if we get any more injuries and stuff or people suspended, he might play 4 or 5 kids. But I mean, he'll spout the usual about we all obviously respect to the other team, so we're going to put our strong team out, and that's what managers say, isn't it? Even if they do or they don't. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what team he plays. It doesn't matter if we get beat. We don't like getting beat, do we? Let's be honest about it. But as far as City are concerned, I think a couple of the young lads will get a game, but I think it'll still be a fairly strong City team capable of winning that last game and going out in a blaze of glory.
Yeah,
going through in a blaze of glory, not going out in a blaze of glory. Yeah,
yeah. I hope somehow we don't get knocked out after guaranteeing top spot. We'll go to you then, Patrick. Do you think we'll rotate players for that Leipzig game?
It depends. I think it will depend on what games we're playing. I know Pep is very stubborn. He might you find he throws a full squad and you're like, what are you doing? We're playing Liverpool or Chelsea next week, and he throws in a full squad against a team and we've already qualified. He seems to have this mentality that if you are at the top, you have to finish with the toughest points and you have to make sure that you make a statement. I think that's his mentality. But it also depends on, I don't know what game. I wish I could search right now, but I'm on my phone. Just search what games are close to that.
I've got it here, lads. Don't worry. We play Watford on the Saturday, Leipzig away on the Tuesday, and Wolves at home on the Saturday. So we've got a bit of a break before the Wolves game, but it's straight after the Watford game.
Yeah,
I would still not go full strength. I think Marketing and Palmer would be thrown in, and I wouldn't start putting Ruben Diaz in this game. That's just me, because you need him for the whole season. And I wouldn't even put. This is how far I'd go if it was me. I wouldn't even go to the point of putting John Stones in this. I would actually have John Stones and Diaz off this. Just give an academy defender with Laporte in this, or any of the seniors.
Well, Aki and Laporte are ideal, aren't they? Let's be honest about it.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about him. That's bad.
Yeah. Don't forget Aki. Look,
I forgot about Aki. Look, this is what I'll do. I'll change it completely. Like, John Stones and Diaz, I think, will be needed again to take us to the final of the Champions League. By the way, this is not a dig at Laporte. I just think after he came from his injury, he seems to be a bit shaky, a bit panicky. Because let's not forget, Laporte was the man in defense. We cried for him when he was injured. When he was eating his meatballs at the Etihad, we were all asking him when he's going to come back, when he took that picture. So, look, for me, I think in this game, Charlie, if it was me, I wouldn't even put Edison in goal. I'll be like, Stefan, there you go. There's a Champions League game.
I think if you think back to the Carabao Cup at West Ham, which didn't work out, but we should have won it, really. I think he'll play a similar team to that, to be honest with you. I think that's probably his template for that game.
Would you risk, Bernard, would you, I know that obviously we're playing Wolves, but the thing is about getting injured. You never know. Some of these teams, when they're out of the Champions League, they're bitter. They will just injure your best player for the sake of, there you go. Let's see you go on and win it without him. You know what I mean? So it's best to just put the big guns on the bench.
Whatever happens, we know now that till March or whenever it is, till it starts the qualifiers. I mean, the Premier League's got to be our main priority now until the FA Cup kicks in as well. But the Premier League, it's a Premier League and nothing else at the moment. And at least we can not worry about the Champions League now, even though we've still got a game left. But I'm sure Pep knows that. I'm sure he doesn't need us to tell him that, does he? Don't overthink it, Pep. Let's just
wait until he puts the strongest team out there. That's the game. He's capable of doing that, isn't he? He will put the strongest team just to put it out there. Anyway, hopefully not.
Yeah, hopefully not, definitely. And Leipzig it's a big game for Leipzig to get in that Europa League spot, so I wouldn't be surprised if we lost that game, to be honest. We'll go to you then.
It was interesting last night, Charlie. Just said because I didn't know it was 4-0 at half time, but obviously I was speaking to a couple of guys on the tram going back home last night, and they knew it was half time. And obviously the guys, the teams must have known it was 4-0, so both teams must have known they were both through whatever happened, which you probably were anyway. But on the night, I mean, I didn't see any sort of reflection on that in the way they played the second half. I think both teams were determined to win that second half, and I've not heard anyone disparaging them saying, "Oh, well, they knew they were through anyway or anything like that. But I must admit, it would have been unusual, wouldn't it? I just wondered if the players did know. I'm sure they probably did know.
I think they were told. You have to know.
Yeah.
You definitely. Somebody whispers in you. I think somebody says it in the direction of that.
Yeah.
So and so is that. But I think it's pride. I think yesterday's match, I think, was for somebody to say that, to gloat, to say we are better than you. I think PSG were not happy with the way we beat them last season. That's why I think the first game they were like, yeah, we got one over them. So I think this one, City did want to lose to PSG.
We had to win it. We had to win this one. I couldn't have coped if we hadn't won last night. I couldn't have coped.
Yeah. We'll go to you first then, Bernard, just before we wrap it up. Where can we find you, mate?
Yeah, well, have you put Bernard Deneen in any search engine? I'll pop up, but obviously on Twitter, it's Bernard at Charles Deneen, and just spell the Deneen with 2 N's, and all my stuff's linked through Twitter. So if you give us a follow on there, I follow back, and you can get all my stuff on there. Yeah,
and Patrick, where can we find you, mate?
Oh, you can find me the usual spot. True City Fan on YouTube. You can also find me on the True City Fan channel. No, on the True City Fan page on Twitter. Look at that, the channel, of course. You'll find me on the channel. So you can find me there. It's just the name is True City Fan. And I have no merch, so I will sell you dreams. That's all I can say.
Yeah. All the links are in the description as well for Patrick and Bernard. You can find me at MCFC Hibs on Twitter, Dugout Daily on YouTube. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. We'll be live later covering the 8 o'clock games in the Europa League. Unfortunately, we won't see United in there after February, seeing as though they won the other night. So yeah, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in a bit. Take care and peace.